Hey guys, welcome to the final whistle. It's game week 28. I feel like it's been an age since we covered the Premier League, but we're back. Liverpool are 15 points clear, and unfortunately, Ben isn't here. He's on international break. Let's just call it that. He's on holiday. But I have the best substitute, the best person on this podcast for me personally. I've never worked with him as well, but I am a big fan of his content. So thrilled to have him on this podcast. And you know what? Awesome of him to help me out last minute because I was going to go solo. And that would have made everyone's ears bleed. It is Jack McIndoe. You all know him on Anfield Index. Jack, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
And it's the first time we're working together.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. As I said, happy to help out Anfield Index. Obviously, I was helped Trev anyway over the last couple of weeks. So any way I can help, James, but much appreciated. And look forward to getting stuck into tonight's episode. Should be good. As well, obviously not to jump ahead, but a decent Arsenal result for us anyway. But we're there. Can't wait to get stuck into it.
Absolutely. We've got a few comments already coming in with regards to the Arsenal, with the Arsenal game as well. Yeah, it's just typical them, isn't it? But let's go to the first thing. Jack, we are going to talk about Liverpool. We saw that monster performance against PSG. I'm sure you enjoyed the watch along as well. It finished 3-1. The first half, how was that? Like, could you do the watch along? Like, it was not an easy watch. And then the goal that we conceded as well, I felt like it was going to happen. It felt inevitable that we were going to mess up.
Yeah, we've been so accustomed to just seeing great Liverpool performances. There's obviously only one defeat in the league, obviously against Forest. But yeah, it was just a bit strange. Obviously, Arne Slot's been on record countless times this season in terms of just telling the team just to be a bit more reserved in possession, because obviously we got, as he said this week, 3 cup finals in the space of like the period. But yeah, and as we've seen in the past games against Southampton, the likes of Portsmouth, West Brom under Rafa Benitez as well, where obviously with Jurgen Klopp at the helm, he changed us from doubters to believers. But yeah, it was a disappointing 45. But I don't think any of us are going to really lose any sleep about it. I don't think the manager in his post-match press conference was not best pleased. I think he let the air dry out at half time, judging from the team's reaction. Which was great that we've got that reaction. But a great 3 points in general, and just another proud day to be a Liverpool fan, Nina, even being honest. What did you think about the game?
I was pretty much the same. So I do like these little like TikTok videos, little shorts where I kind of think what he should do. And I was kind of hoping that he would bring some players in. I was like, Gravenberch looks absolutely knackered. Maybe bring in Endo for this one because it is Southampton, although I'm not gonna take Southampton easy because I felt like the St. Mary's game was quite a bit of a struggle train for Liverpool, So I was like, let's not underestimate them. He did make some changes, and I was quite happy to see those changes as well because we will have a bit of a test against PSG. I think we were all absolutely used to watching that, and I was, the first half was really underwhelming, but I love the fact that there was quick subs made, the right subs were made, and I think what I really took away from this one is it was really nice to see Darwin Núñez be very much involved and get the goals. And, he was really struggling. And to see him obviously being involved in the goal against PSG and him getting the goal in this one to start things off, I just felt like Liverpool just had everything going for them in the second half. It was like a complete stark performance from the first. It was almost like they kind of woke up to it. You alluded to Slot's comments. And he goes like, they didn't run much, so that's a good thing. But he kind of said it with like, he was like gritting his teeth because he obviously does not like lazy play. Obviously, he's a perfectionist. But when you watch that first half of football, I was like, it can't get any worse than this. And it kind of reminded me of watching the first half against PSG, where I felt like Liverpool looked really anxious under the cosh with what PSG were throwing at them, but by no means a stretch of the imagination were Southampton that threatening. I felt like we made our own, like we were making work of it for ourselves. But I guess when you're en route to be champions, it's edging closer. We've had somebody say it's almost 20 times there. It's a comment. You have to win ugly, and you have to kind of have that mental resilience and the get up. And I really love the fact that Mo Salah got 2 penalties as well, and he slotted them away perfectly. I just felt like it was an overall really, really good team performance. I've got this weird obsession, Jack, about Southampton's XG. I always mention it.
Yeah.
So I looked at the XG. So Liverpool was 4.11 XG, which I think we expected. I think most of that was in the second half, let's be honest. And Southampton were 0.31, which is pretty on par for them. That's pretty
Standard.
for how they are. So yeah, they didn't really cause too much of a stir, but they were 16 points clear after that win. Obviously, you alluded to the Arsenal game, which we're going to get to. But overall, I just feel like you spoke about 3 cup finals. I think they've put some in real good stead for the PSG game, the Carabao Cup game. I'm really thrilled with that one. Hopefully, the players that came off as well, I think that kind of gives us a little indication as to what Slot's going to do for the starting 11 as well. He doesn't make much changes, Jack. Let's be brutally honest. You kind of know what we're going to get.
Setting his ways, isn't he? I think obviously a time at Feyenoord, very similar in terms of his rotation, very much facilitated like quite a smaller squad. Obviously, when he did come in from obviously the former club, AZ, and in terms of coming in and making a lot of transfers, but I think it's going to be an interesting summer, I think, for every Liverpool fan in terms of what happens. But as you quickly alluded to, obviously Nunes before, I've been quite critical, like a lot of Liverpool fans coming into this season. Like, we all want the best for every Liverpool player, but we know the standards that are at Liverpool. Obviously, you've got to be at your maximum performance level in every season, every game, because obviously considering the quality in which we've seen this season. But yeah, there's just a little bit of a playback there in terms of the audio. Can you hear that?
No, you sound perfectly fine to me. You're just a perfectionist. It's because you do all those watch-alongs. Yeah, that's what it is. Honestly, it's all good on my end, and I'm sure no complaints in the comments. But no, you sound great, and I'm glad you kind of mentioned Nunes there as well, because I feel like when he does like the thing like where he played the pass to Elliott against PSG, for example, and we're like sort of patting him on the back because he's so low on confidence, and confidence in his play, and it's just like, well, you're a Liverpool player, that like I shouldn't have to be patting him on the back.
He's still a human, though, isn't he? Like, as you know, he's still an individual, and it's so difficult for every footballer, I think, in terms of the pressures that do come with it. But I think, obviously, as football fans, a lot of us do get caught up in it. But at the end of the day, like every human being out there, you just got to respect everyone and just be humble and back them as much as you possibly can and give them your best support. And especially Nunes, if he scores a couple of winners in the quarters of the Champions League and semis and whatever happens come end of May, we'll all gather around him and be very, very proud of him, certainly.
Absolutely right. So we kind of spoke about it. Let's actually talk about it now. So Manchester United won, Arsenal won. I want to get your thoughts on this one, because I felt like the first half United were pretty poor. I'm going to be brutally honest. That beautiful free kick by Bruno Fernandes, which shocked a lot of people. I feel like, I mean, I know you said we're 15 points clear, and it was a good result for Liverpool. But I think Man United are going to feel really aggrieved here, because I felt in the second half Man United really turned it off, and I felt like they had the better chances.
Yeah, it was one of them, and obviously the Martinelli miss. Like, I think everyone's how do you know how that didn't go in? I don't know, chat, but it's maybe the football gods are on our side this season for Liverpool. We'll take it anyway. But yeah, it was another weird game for Arsenal. I didn't quite get. I don't know if you got his shushing celebration. Like, you've just scored an equaliser. Like, and obviously it's just there for me, the immaturity in regards to the Arsenal players. It's a very young squad, but I think in terms of the celebration, just go out and get the ball out of the net quickly, get back into your own half and go again and look to very much salvage the 3 points really from Old Trafford. But yeah, I think a lot of Liverpool fans, it pained us to celebrate that Bruno goal. I know I done like a fist bump. That's all I've done. The only time I'll ever do that in my life anyway. But yeah, it's all good. Hello, Gags.
You guys had to sneak in on you like a wrestler. Take your best. I know I get so jealous when you have him on all the time. So I had to go there. Sorry, it's okay. But yeah, you spoke about the immaturity, about the goal celebration. And you know what? Let's just put some context into this. Manchester United are currently 14th in the Premier League. Like, that's who you're shushing. Like, literally, like, a team that is absolutely struggling will look more like in a relegation fight. But yeah, I do feel like I want to get your thoughts on this, right? Because they've been talked up as like obviously title rivals,
Yeah.
and everything. And if you look at the Premier League table now, they are
Mm.
4 points ahead of Nottingham Forest, which we'll get to their result in a minute. Can you see a scenario where the season where Leicester won the league and Spurs were their rivals, and there was that joke saying only Spurs can be in a title challenge to finish third?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't it be hilarious if Arsenal actually finished third to Nottingham Forest? Like, I'm not being funny. I think they would deserve it.
Yeah, 100%. Arsenal, it's a Spursy thing. It's an Arsenal thing. Poster, so obviously a Fergie, not Fergie, Arsene Wenger era anyway. But yeah, just looking at the statistics here, obviously from the game as you alluded to, the domination period. Obviously Arsenal off the back of today's result, 17 total shots to United's 10. Obviously six targets, shots on target apiece anyway. The conversion rate, as we know, over the last couple of weeks hasn't been good enough. I don't know how you feel, Nina, or anyone in the comments. Like, I think the majority of us from our younger generation as well grew up watching Thierry Henry and maybe in the 70s and 80s and certain Arsenal teams as well. But that football club deserves and should strive to have an elite level forward. I just find it baffling that for the last 5 odd years, obviously, you got Jesus from City and certain individual players. You got Sterling, don't even play him. I get he might be past it at the minute, but you bring him into the club and you're screaming out for an Saka, and you've got him sat on the bench and you're playing a midfielder and striker. This is where, as I said, the immaturity, but the overall quality from Arteta really I find quite staggering. I don't know how you feel in that regard, but
I will agree with you on that one. You kind of spoke about Thierry Henry there, and Dennis Bergkamp was one of my favourite forwards. Like a little kiddo watching him. I just thought he just had grace, poise, and technique, and he was just wonderful to watch. Same with Thierry Henry as well. Like, he was just so elegant with the ball, and like it felt like he had all the time in the world, and he just always constantly backed himself. He was just a phenomenal footballer. You spoke about Arsenal looking bizarre with that striker, and I'm going to also paint the same thing for Chelsea here as well. I know we're a bit everywhere, but I feel like Chelsea, like I'm sure you did as well, but I watched I was a little kid and I watched Zola, saw a bit of Vialli as well. They were fine. Didier Drogba.
Well, what a player.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like Didier Drogba, and they actually don't have a forward as well. And I find it so bizarre and alarming that those two teams don't actually have a forward. It's very strange to watch. With regards to Manchester United, though, I am going to give them some props. I felt like tactically they looked like they've done something ever so slightly different. I felt like Mazraoui looked more forward and more advanced. It was almost like he was more involved in the attack. With regards to Man United, though, it feels like I know you don't really cover an awful lot of like Premier League stuff, but Højlund looks like, we talk about Darwin Núñez in the doghouse. I think Højlund very much is of that ilk. I just feel like the manager can't see him.
It's crazy, Nina. The interesting teams, obviously, Robin van Persie, probably the best striker they had, obviously him and Rooney. And I think as much as we despise them winning title after title, but you could appreciate the quality, the Berbatovs, the Tevez, the Ronaldos, the Rooneys. They were stacked, a bit like similar to us in terms of our attacking options. But yeah, I think Zirkzee, obviously coming from Bologna, in the window, hasn't really hit the ground running. Wanted them to try and adapt to be a bit more of a false nine, but I think it just baffles me why Man United didn't go out and get Harry Kane. He should never have left the Premier League, in my honest opinion. Yes, United are absolutely dire over the last 10 years, but I think even with a Harry Kane leading that line, they would be over the last couple of years, and certainly in the year or two to go, I think they would have done better. But it's obviously, we know Amarin very highly reliant on his wingers, obviously a time at Sporting Lisbon. He can only do what he can do. We all know how poor that United side is. I still find it mad, as you alluded to, Nina, the game against, obviously, the game today, but I think we all remember Martinez's comments after the Liverpool United game saying that we will be back, but they lost the following week like a couple of times anyway. It's like, that's the levels that Liverpool are currently doing in terms of just winning. That's what United used to do, but now they're just so inconsistent, but we're very much bask in the glory, but they're a million miles away, and being honest, Nina, I think we can all agree. But
I didn't mean to show that comment.
What's
Thank
that?
you. Yeah, you tell Gags. You tell him. You put him in his place. But no, you're spot on. And do you not find it like I grew up with United just absolutely completely ruining my childhood, and I think we all did. And you won't know this, but my mum's like a diehard United fan, and like seeing her meltdowns are not nice to watch. I'm not gonna lie, it's quite painful to watch, but they are so far off it. I mean, we're going to speak to like Man City as well, and I know we'll speak about their game in a minute, but I want to get your thoughts on this. So, you know, Man United sacked their manager. They spent a lot of money in the transfer window as well, which I find absolutely baffling. That if you had the intention to sack him, why back him in the transfer window? Do what we did with Brendan Rodgers. Like, I just feel like it's a badly run business, a badly run football club. And you see what, you know, Sir Jim Ratcliffe is doing with them, you know, cutting stewards and, you know, like taking their bonuses. And it's not going to make an ounce of difference to how that club is run. Like, you're actually hurting the people that actually really need that money. And I feel like there's a big job on. I feel like Amarim's really got his hands full with the job that he's got. We're obviously going to speak about the Man City game in a minute. So we've got Man City here who, you know, this season have like just completely fallen off a cliff. And in your opinion, if you're like, obviously we're Liverpool fans, so it's really hard for us, but if you're a Manchester United fan or you're a Man City fan, which one do you think is more frustrated with the season?
Probably United, because they've done it for 10 years, I think. There's no differential difference. I think it was last year or year before when City fans were booing their team off the pitch. That like went double back to back, and like it's the levels, the childish nature really. There's certain City fans out there that have been accustomed to being obviously in the main road days of not winning games. Let's be honest. Getting battered by Middlesbrough anyway, very long time ago. But yeah, I think it's mainly, I'd say United, Nina, if I'm being honest. I think in terms of the levels, he will eventually be back. But as you said, with Jim Radcliffe, I think the infrastructure, the core of what obviously Jurgen Klopp instills in Liverpool in his tenure, I think in terms of being a people person, bringing the best out of every individual in terms of the business. He welcomed everyone with open arms, and that's the what makes Liverpool has always been the case. But United, as you said, they are the people in the background that make a day-to-day business, and I don't think cutting back on certain food requirements in terms of the stadium and all that is going to help in the long-term vision of the football club.
And we've got a comment here from You Never Walk Alone. It's nice. I like the fact that you're kind of deciding what we're talking about on this show today. So we've got a comment here by You Never Walk Alone, and it was Arsenal's best chance this season. I asked Ben this when we beat Man City, which was the last time we did the final whistle. You're an Arsenal fan, right? And for 2 seasons, you've gone toe-to-toe with Man City. Let's say toe-to-toe, because like the point tally has been quite low with them two being title rivals. Let's be brutally honest. I feel like Liverpool and Klopp really pushed Man City, you know, to like get into the 100 mark and, you know, like bringing the best out of that Man City side. So you're Arsenal, you're waiting for Man City to slip. The slip happens, but then comes this bold Dutch guy that no one's even heard of, who's just snuck into the Premier League, who's not. How much has he spent in the transfer window? Chiesa, is it about 50 million?
Yeah, I think in terms of well, Chiesa and obviously just Chiesa, and we haven't even done the contracts in the summer, so I don't think that's going towards it. But
so, I mean, like, imagine being Arsenal, the amount of money they've spent, and also being an Arsenal fan as well. Like, this was their chance. I think You Never Walk Alone has made a real sound point here. You know, like, I guess you can add them into the frustration part as well of the league of the season.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? I think obviously with our seasons, with the neck and neck nature against Manchester City, I think if you're an Arsenal fan, this was meant to be their year. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of rival fans, as they do in every season, building up to the league campaign, very much dismiss even the pundits and everyone in general. But that's because the dislike is really so long may it continue, because we'll just keep on winning. But yeah, I've been very disappointed, in being honest, about Mikel Arteta and even today's performance. Every great side, you need to get over the line, no matter how you find a way. Too much of reliance, Nina. I don't know how you feel in terms of set pieces this season. I think the last one they scored was like November at time or something. So like obviously the set piece coach hasn't been getting a bit of airtime anyway on the touchline, so he'll be disappointed. But yeah, it was they need to be doing much better, and I think if the very highly dependent on obviously the Champions League run for Arsenal, because I think if they get knocked out in the next round anyway, obviously smash PSV, but you need to be doing more. Sometimes it's not just how much you spend, it's who you spend it on, as we found out in terms of bringing Robbo and other quality players. But it's the world football, like the fandom with certain clubs. They love 70, 80 million pound players, but sometimes I think I've seen a report that there was, I don't know how accurate it was today, that they're having a little look at the Championship United, and I think that's what you might need to have to do, because there's quality in the Championship, but I don't think the fans will be best too pleased. But
yeah, I guess, buying the big play. You mentioned the set piece coach from Arsenal, and I started smiling because I'm sure Arsenal fans painted a movie of him. Like, I'm sure that went viral on social media. Sorry, just something that just came to my head. Again, another comment here saying that Man City are probably going to be more frustrated. I think certainly with the younger fans, because I don't think they've known adversity. I think the older, the old school Man City fans have known some struggle and some hardship, but this new generation who just in Pep Guardiola, constantly winning, this is something new for them. And let's speak about Man City. So Forest, Man City, finished Forest 1-0. It was an early kickoff on Saturday. I didn't overly enjoy this game, I'm be brutally honest. I felt like it was there wasn't many chances going in it, but it's just a moment of quality by Gibbs White. That lovely pass, and Hudson-Odoi just punishing, and we know all about that, obviously. But what do you make of Nottingham Forest? Because I thought they would drop levels, and they actually haven't.
It's Forest, they're in the top 4 somehow. Like, I don't know, like it's I suppose obviously you spent a lot of money. We all know that, but end of the day, you still need to put in a performance. It's crazy. Obviously, a big football club they were in the 70s and 80s, but I think it's a breath of fresh air for the Premier League in general. It's great for the league that we will see a couple of new faces in. You might go a bit further than certain other clubs in the Premier League and might actually win it. Maybe, you never know. But yeah, the top side, they've got a big institution in terms of the history. But I think Nuno Espirito Santo, the job in which he's done is, he was, for me, very undermined at his time at Tottenham. I don't think many Conte's failed at Tottenham, many other managers failed at Tottenham. It's just in the DNA and the hierarchy of the club. But I think Nuno, quite rightly so, he's getting his flowers. I don't know how you feel, Nina, or chat. If they get in the top 4, top 5, and Liverpool do win the league, do you think who would be your manager of the season?
This is such a good question. You know what? I'm still gonna have to go with Slot, because I know so many managers have come in. Like, I know Conte won the Premier League with Chelsea when he came in. I know Jose Mourinho's done it. I know managers have done it, but I just feel like, first of all, taking on the pressure from Jurgen Klopp, I feel like that requires some kind of mental strength and resilience. Like, I think you can shrink in that role. I think we saw it with David Moyes. I know he inherited a team that was absolutely broken. Fergie just wanted to win the league one last time and disappear. I know Klopp left the squad in a really healthy position, but I just think when you think about the pressure, the club also trying to win over and convince, because I think deep down, even though we support managers, there was a bit of like, I am not going to get attached to you. I'm just going to let you be. I feel like you're going to be dreadful this season, and I'm going to just accept what's going to happen. That was my take on Slot.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. And the fact that we didn't spend, he wasn't backed. He had to make do with what he had, and also taking on those players that absolutely loved Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah.
Coming in and to convince them to do something else.
Yeah.
He wants them to do. I think that requires a lot. I think that's
special. It is special for. Yeah,
just for that reason.
Yeah, it's we do things our way, Nina, don't we? In terms of that, no other football club would be, no other ex-manager would be bigging up the fella that's coming in after them. We're very unique, and I'd agree. I'd give it to Anna, because it's one thing inheriting a great football side, and it's another thing winning it with a football side, because he's still got a job to do, certainly, this season, and he's blowing us all out the way in terms of what he's done, certainly me. It's just refreshing, and let's hope, fingers crossed, we do have a good couple of years to come under Arne. But yeah, he's a taskmaster, but he's just such an intelligent person on the touchline, and he gets the best out of the tools in which he's got as well, which I'm loving it.
Well, I'm glad we're on the same
Yeah.
page. But yeah, I do feel aggrieved for somebody like Nuno because had Guardiola won it again, and they made top four, then I think it's an easy, come on, we got to give it to Nuno. And I like the fact that you did give him a little shout out there. For their sake, I just hope they manage to keep all the team together because there are a lot of rumours. And I know, Gibbs White is fancied by a lot of top teams. And I mean, I think we can all agree he's an exceptional player, he would add so much quality to so many teams. But we spoke about a majority of the top four. Should we quickly speak about Chelsea? So they beat Leicester. It's called the Enzo Maresca derby. Chelsea winning. I think it's a good result for Chelsea winning at home. Leicester, I think it's just a full drawn conclusion. I've got two questions for you actually. Is the bottom relegation the teams that came up pretty much going down in your opinion? Because they have all pretty much lost.
They've been poor, though. I mean, if we're being honest, I'm just going to quickly look at the stats. Obviously, we know Cole Palmer missed an awful penalty anyway. We'll probably get to him in his poor form, but it's difficult. I think the timing of the managerial change for Leicester at the beginning of the year, he'd done extremely well. But as we've seen with the likes of, obviously, certain other clubs when they've come into the Premier League and done well, it's only Brentford, Brighton, maybe missing another team as well, Palace even, over the last 10, 15 years when they come into the league and fully established themselves as a regular team. Obviously, Fulham for a couple of seasons come in and out, but they've established themselves once again as a sensible club in the Premier League. So yeah, in terms of their squad, and just quickly look on it, it's just not quite frankly not good enough, is there? You look at obviously Samara, Ndidi, Daka, Jamie Vardy, how old is he now? 97.
You as well. I think that's their attacking line, isn't it? Jordan Ayew and Vardy, the pace in them, my word.
Yeah. So I just don't think it's good enough. I don't know if you feel, or it's difficult as we've seen. I think the lads on the Raw mentioned it in terms of you need to spend money to very much stay in the Premier League. You certainly do. Will that change in the next couple of years? Possibly. But there's just so much money awashed within the Prem that if you don't spend or if you don't bring in adequate quality, I do feel that very much teams will struggle, and certainly Leicester. It would be nice next season if a couple of the regulars do stay in the league. But looking at Ipswich, I don't know if I mentioned it, I'll probably mention it onto that tonight's show. They miss so many opportunities as well, similar as we mentioned with Arsenal and certain other clubs in the Prem. But I think when you're down there in the bottom, you need to score goals, and if you're not doing that, it's just so much more difficult, really, to stay.
And it really upsets me with Ipswich because I've actually quite enjoyed watching them play in some games. I thought they put on a real decent performance against Aston Villa at the beginning of the season where they were drawing and they looked like the team that wanted to go and win the game. They can't see out games as well. You spoke about scoring. I do think, there's a lot of talk about the lap, obviously, with Ipswich and stuff. But I feel like with regards to Ipswich, their goalkeeper really let them down, and also their defense, they just can't see out games, and also their home form is so questionable.
Yeah.
I mean, let's paint a picture actually. So Arsenal are going to play Chelsea next week. We're Carabao Cup bound. We won't be playing that, so they're catching up with the game. And I believe Nottingham Forest are going away to Ipswich. Now, should Chelsea beat Arsenal, it's doable. It's on the cards. And Nottingham Forest I think, the inevitable, beat Ipswich at home. Their home form is absolutely dreadful. There's only 1 point between them two. I think it becomes really fascinating. Who is your top four? Predict it. Go on. There's a lot of teams in there. Brighton and all these teams are sneaking in now.
I'd love Brighton and Forest to get in the top four. Obviously, the extra place for Champions League, as we know, but obviously that's not guaranteed just two yet. But depending, obviously, all the English teams, as we know, are on one side. But I'd possibly see Forest and maybe it's got to be City. They have to get into top four. I know Pep was mentioned already after the game that he was disappointed, but it's almost like when he cried about Sergio Aguero. We cannot replace him, and then went out and got Erling Haaland for 900 grand a week. I just don't know. It's funny, but yeah, I do feel it will be Liverpool, Arsenal, Forest, and then City finishing fourth, and then it's just a shootout between Brighton and Chelsea. If it's between them, I'd say it would be Brighton, because it's just a way in which Brighton have had the do-over really on Chelsea on many of occasions, really. So it's robbing all the scouts and robbing all the players. But yeah, it's been funny. But just quickly judging on the was it the Forest game? I don't know if you seen the great save from Edison, but then he lets in the goal at the front post. It's just mad. It's the crazy world of goalkeepers in the Premier League. But yeah, it was a couple of very good saves in that game. But yeah, very suspect. I don't know how you feel, Nina, on the
I
Forest
felt that
goal.
as well, and I kind of did catch up. I watched the game, and then I caught up with Match of the Day highlights, and they kind of said, "Oh, it's a great week for Brazilian keepers." You know, obviously alluding to Alisson. So I was like, "Yeah, okay, noted." And then you're right; it was just like near post, and he should have done so much more better. I don't know what it is with this Man City side as well. They just look so abject, and it's just like me and Ben spoke about this. It's not just the Rodri thing. I just feel like they literally do not know how to respond to this kind of adversity. They've never been through it. They've never done it before. And it's going to be a test of their character. I think they are a team that just really needs to finish top 4, and they just want to get out of the season as quick as possible. You know, when you just really want that season over, and that is a team. And even when you look at Pep Guardiola's post-match comments, like he's sounding more and more, like he's exhausted. Like, I want done. Like, I want to just get this over and done with. Not his usual self-assured, confident self. It is, and even players like, like Ruben Diaz was one of their best defenders. Guardiola started off the season so well for them. He was one of their top scorers. He was one of their informed players, and he's getting skinned left, right, centre. They bring on these little kids. They bought that Kusanov, the defender, who had a bit of a suspect start. I think he's settling in okay now, but it's a rebuild, and it's a definite rebuild needed. But but how long is it going to take, though? That's the next thing. How long will they take before they get back to their usual elite self? And you can't rely on Rodri, because you don't know what Rodri's going to come back after that injury, because it's a horrendous injury.
Yeah, let's hope it takes a while and Liverpool capitalise. But yeah, it's difficult, because when football's very dwarfed at the minute in terms of like us, Klopp and Guardiola. It wasn't the norm. 90-odd point seasons. It's unprecedented, really. Like, even this season, you've got rival fans going, "Oh, it's an awful league," but this is what it used to be, even when Fergie was winning leagues. They occasionally had the odds over 80-plus seasons, but it was this is the normal. And this is where going into Liverpool in a couple of years. Hopefully, we're a lot more successful. But yeah, City will be back quicker than certain other clubs have done in the past, just mainly due to the financial resources available at that club. If Pep's not getting his way, throws his toys out the pram, and very much gets what he wants, and they go out and spend 300, 400 million. But that's the only way you compete, really. But it's as obviously Anna Walker said there, checkbook manager. But
for that to just slide in, I was like, you need the opportune moment. There you go.
I'd love to see him at Stoke maybe 1 year, and if he'd done what he's doing at City. But as Guardiola's been on countless records, he knows he's been very privileged. But yeah, he's a very good manager. But it's a lot more difficult at another club without the less financial resources. I don't know how you feel, Nina, because it's going to be interesting. But I do think, I can't believe you sold Alvarez, even being honest. Even the loss of Mahrez the year prior as well. I loved him as a player, even though he did play for them a lot. But he was an elite level player. Maybe he lost a bit of Mahrez pace, but one of the most technical, gifted wingers we've seen in the Premier League era, in my opinion.
I do agree with you with Alvarez. I felt like when they got him, I was like, oh God, he's really good. Like, imagine having him. And I just felt like it was almost like when I actually watched the whole Alvarez time at Man City, it almost felt like a little bit of disrespect. It was almost like, oh yeah, you can come off the bench and do something. It was never like, you're part of it was almost like, oh, I'm going to take Haaland off now. Oh, you come on a bit later. He looked like he was never part of the solid foundation that Pep Guardiola wanted to build. And you see him now at Atletico Madrid, and he is absolutely, the goal that he scored against Real Madrid was just a FIFA goal, and he does that all the time. He's just proving his worth. Atletico Madrid look like a decent side. By the way, side note, aside from the Liverpool game, that game's going to be really good for the Champions League, so do check that one out. I'm watching the Madrid derby. I don't know about you, Jack.
Yeah, I'll be watching that. They're just going to be kicking each other for the next 4 weeks, aren't they? Because I think they're playing every day. It feels like a bit like us and Chelsea
Yeah,
under Mourinho and Rafa. But yeah, it'll be enjoyable. And yeah, obviously Atletico got beat today. Weirdly, I just don't know who wants to win that league. I'm being honest. Obviously, Barca with a 10-point lead early on in the year, and with Flick at charge, it's not really worked. But it's going to be an interesting game to say the least. But,
yeah. Well, okay, we're going to finish off the show. So we kind of spoke about all the major things there. Got a comment here from Burton Jav. Liverpool 2, Newcastle United 1 next Sunday final. I mean, have you got any thoughts on that one?
A win's a win. We'll take it as long as it's not a Paris Saint-Germain kind of result. But I think Gags is going. I think he is to the final. Enjoy it, Gags. And a lot of the obviously contributors at AI anyway. It's a trip out away. Enjoy it. Wherever you're watching. We'll be doing the watch along, but let's hope it's a win. Are you looking forward to it, Nina? Because I know you never get tired of seeing Liverpool in finals.
No, you can't. I
Mm.
mean, I will be fasting, so my attention levels are
Yeah.
as great as what they usually can be. But yeah, I am looking forward to it because it actually, I don't know, it kind of gives a nice little treat in the middle of the day. You know,
Mm.
it's a final. Liverpool are in a final, and I also think as well the occasion of this is going to be quite beautiful because it's the first time Arne Slot is taking Liverpool to a final, and Newcastle United have a chance to win some silverware. And I feel like it's going to be taken seriously across the board by both teams, which normally does happen in a thing, but in a final. But I just feel like it's going to be special to both sets of fans.
Yeah, they're massively heavily depleted with their injuries, but
Yes, they
let's
are.
hope we just show our quality really, and it comes to the forefront really, and let's hope it's a continued notion of under Arne Slot Anfield South again, and let's hope it's not the last. We know it won't be the last, given how well we've played this season, and certainly going into next year as well.
I
Um,
guess the last thing I'm going to say on Newcastle is they
mm,
are playing tomorrow night, Monday Night Football. They're playing West Ham, so we get 2 days
yeah,
extra rest. Let's hope, mind you, we do have Champions League football, but let's hope these kind of things play in our
mm,
favour. But and Jack, I think we've covered everything. I have loved doing this podcast with
yeah,
you. How was that for you talking
Yeah,
about Premier League?
thank you for having me on. I'm getting round to meeting everyone slowly but surely. Met Trev, met you, obviously met Tad as well. Obviously Eddie and the lads, and but yeah, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully, happy to step in, and thank you for having me, and it's
Yeah,
been a pleasure.
it's an absolute pleasure. Guys, thank you so much for joining us live. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Jack, before I let you go, where can people find you on social media and what upcoming content do you have for us?
Yeah, obviously we got the watch along. Obviously we're chock a blocker and then so you see me half an hour before kickoff on obviously Tuesday night. So yeah, it'll be obviously 7:30 show. We do like a little bit of a build up on Anfield Index as well, and just Jack Mac LFC, and then on Anfield Road TV. I've been doing YouTube for a very long time anyway, but yeah, just made up to have the opportunity this year to just help in any possible way I can and speak about Liverpool with like-minded Reds as well. So it's an absolute privilege. But yeah, Jack McIndoe on Twitter and Anfield Road. But it's all about Anfield Index as well this season. Lucky charm, really, maybe. But what a year to very much
Yeah,
to get involved with as well. So
no, it's awesome. I love, and I've been doing podcasts for ages, or
yeah,
completely digressing. But I just feel like you need a certain kind of skill to do a watch along.
mm,
It's not an easy thing to do.
mm,
I respect people that do it, and I've never actually had the opportunity to speak to somebody who
mm,
actually does them because I feel like you've got to be on the ball all the time. Like I have
mm,
got the worst concentration. Like I would forget I'm on camera and do something really random or stupid. Like you have to be engaging all the time. And I
yeah,
feel like that is just such a skill. So the fact that I'm speaking to you, the fact that we have you on Anfield Index, I'm so glad that I'm able to express that gratitude to
yeah.
you. That I really respect the craft. It's really awesome. But guys,
Thank
we
you.
are done on the Final Whistle podcast. I think we will be back next week because there is a game week going on, despite Liverpool being in the Carabao Cup. But guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you soon and take
There's
care.
no
Bye.